Good evening. My name is Christine Schiavone, and our show is Spiritual Exploration. Tonight, we're going to talk about 2012, the Great Shift. Here we are already in 2012. The year is more than half over. We have a lot of things going on that have to do with this shift that's happening, that the Mayan calendar is ending this year, and all the things that are going on. And here to talk about that with me is Adolphina Shephard, and she is going to tell us all about her books and the contents of these books, which will tell us about the shift in 2012 and what we should be expecting. Hello, Adolphina. It's so nice to have you back. Adolphina, as a matter of fact, has been a guest on my show a couple of times. We did a show about auras.
Yeah.
And what was the other show that... can't remember the title, but yeah. I'll come across it. It's on YouTube anyway. As a matter of fact, now that I'm mentioning it, I have about 30 shows on YouTube, and the one about auras is one of them. So we'll now talk about the shift in 2012, and tell us, what do we mean by a shift? Okay.
Well, first of all, Christine, let me first say thank you for having me on again.
Oh, my pleasure, always.
We always have a good time, don't we, when we're here?
Absolutely.
Well, the first thing I guess I want to say about 2012 is it's not the end of the world like so many people foretell.
Right.
That was only a potential from 2,000 plus years ago. And over that time, many, many things have changed. Many people have awakened. Many people have raised their consciousness and frequency. And so it's not doom and gloom, okay? So I have run across quite a few people in my lectures who actually do think that the world was ending. And I say, no, honey, that's no longer true. Don't think that way. You don't want to bring it on by thinking that way. But it's the end of an age. It's the end of an age, and we have great things coming. I mean, I can tell you that in 3 years, everybody will be telepathic.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Everybody will have psychic gifts. And no one will be able to tell a lie.
Really?
Oh, how can you tell?
You'll be able to tell, huh?
How are you going to be able to tell a lie when everybody's going to know that you're lying?
That's true.
Right?
Some people still try to get away with it, though.
Oh, I know. And some people may have the charm that you may say, well, okay, I know they're lying, but I like them anyway.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But it's already happening. Don't you find yourself being more, you just know things?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in the last maybe even year or so, the things that I know that I know, and they are right.
Yeah, it's like slowly but surely the veil is being pulled down from our eyes. And little by little, I mean, it cannot be just happened all at one time where suddenly the earth descends and everybody is thrust into this scenario. It would be just too shocking. People would probably die of heart attacks,
yes,
you know.
Yes.
And so I am sure God planned it very, very carefully. I mean, our Creator planned this to the nth, where whether or not we participated, He was going to make it happen.
Well, tell me something, though. I mean, I know it's been happening for me. I'm sure it's been happening for you and others like us. But what about people who are not in tune, unbelievers, people who are still kind of into themselves and doing not so nice things? Do they also have this knowing, or are they keeping it from themselves by their own actions?
Well, okay, this goes deeper than we are. I'm going to take you a little deeper down the rabbit hole, okay? Mm-hmm. All right, it's my understanding that when we first, literally, when human beings, souls first start coming into bodies, they came into animals as an experiment to see how it would be. And then eventually we coming into the human animal. However, there were some souls who stayed in animal bodies because they were comfortable and they didn't want to come out of animal bodies. So there are like different stages of evolution of humans that exist today on this planet, and some people are not ready for that ascension. So they will be what we call cycle repeaters. cycle repeaters. In other words, they will, when it's their time to go, they'll cross over and they'll come back because they still have more evolving to do. Okay, so some people are ready for that telepathy and for doing the greater good because we're all one. And others are still into the greed and so forth and so on. But they're just not ready.
Right.
Now, some of them will transform, and they can't help it because as the vibration of the earth is lifting, it's automatically attempting to lift theirs. And God is also doing it by, He's attuning everybody. It's not just the people who are good. And this happens through, people don't know it, but this happens through the sun flares. The sun flares, as they come in, God sends energy through the portal, through the sun shoots out the sun flare, and then it hits the earth, and what happens? The earth vibrates. And it's actually raising the vibration of earth, so it's pushing out all unresolved feelings and emotions, and that's why people are going a little crazy, because those who haven't done their spiritual homework are really, really, really feeling the effects.
How so?
Well, because they're going crazy. Some people are having nervous breakdowns. Some people may or may not commit suicide. Some people look at the crazy shootings and the bombings. People are going nuts. They're just going crazy. And it's because they can't handle the volume of this spiritual trauma. In my work that I do as a healer, that's a large part of your healing is your emotional and your mental bodies. You just cannot fix the physical body. You got to fix spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. And so if you can picture a slinky, you remember that little slinky that goes down the steps when we were kids?
Yes.
You know that it's round and it's all wiry, and it would go down the steps if you put it on it right. Well, if you hold that out straight, and as though you're looking through it, every one of your bodies should fit and be perfectly circular. But if you take that slinky and you pull it apart in certain areas,
it's all bent out of shape.
It will be bent out of shape. And so people kind of look, if you have psychic sight, it actually kind of looks like a crooked flower. Like maybe there's a petal here and a petal there and a petal here, and it's not perfectly round. Now, when a person is perfectly balanced, then it looks like a totally round slinky, as though that tunnel you can see right through. So, in other words, if you could see my aura, it's perfectly round, in a slinky, kind of. But I can look at anybody when I work on them and see, gee, is there spiritual body balance? Is there a mental body balance?
You see where all the kinks are.
Yeah, you can see where the flower is bent or broken or, you know, whatever. And the goal is to have them perfectly round. So because you actually have a mental body, you actually have an emotional body. And of course, everybody knows the physical body. But nobody realizes you actually have these other bodies that need repair as well. Of course, psychiatry is supposed to help with that, and psychology, you know. The easiest way is energy work, though, as I'm sure you know, being a healer yourself.
So we have also this ethereal body that's above us as well.
Right.
And that needs repair too?
Yeah. Well, your main soul stays upstairs. Okay, let's say in heaven. And then a piece of your soul comes down in this body, because your body could not contain your soul. Your soul is huge.
Oh, really? I never...
It's huge. So that's what they call your higher self. So when you're aligned, you're getting information from your higher self, which is really your soul that stays up in heaven. So, but the goal is to fix all these different bodies, which is contained in your aura or your electromagnetic body or your quantum field or your biofield. Scientists have named it many different things. But for simplicity's sake, let's just say the aura, like that. And when that's not been any work done to it, people are going a little goofy.
Work done to it, how, like spiritual work, going into spiritual subjects and things like that?
Well, let's say this. Do you think it would be appropriate to do an attunement on the air?
An attunement?
Yeah, like for instance, all we really need to do is ask God to do emotional transmutation of all negative emotions into grace. And all anybody's got to do this is pray this at night when they go to bed. And this is one technique that can be done every night. And it won't harm you.
What would you say?
That's exactly what I'd say. I try to simplify it for everybody. Dear God, please transmute any negative emotions into grace that can safely be done tonight. Thy will be done. Thank you. And go to bed. And what will happen is all that trauma from these many lifetimes, it's buried deep in our cells. And all that has to be removed, cleared, transmuted. For instance, let's say you were in World War I and you died from a sword. Well, that was traumatic, wasn't it?
I would imagine so.
Let's say you were burned at the stake one time. That's traumatic, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that scary? Well, you didn't, how many people die a totally peaceful death? So that trauma stays buried in our emotional and mental bodies until you've done your homework. And that is the easiest way. And I've tried them all. You know, different ways for healing, and the power of God is beyond any. So I have found that to be the most effective.
So doing your homework meaning praying for the negativity to be taken out.
And transmute it. It's not just cleared. I want to make that perfectly clear. It's not just being cleared, because then you're going to experience and feel that terror. It is transmuted. That's so
like
key.
Gone into thin air?
It will be transmuted. For instance, let's say it like this. If you were going to clear some of it, and it meant you getting in a car accident and breaking your back and being paralyzed for the rest of your life, if it's transmuted, maybe you just trip and stub your toe. You see what I mean? So now it's transmuted into grace. So because energy never dies, it's just simply transmuted into something else. Let's do it the easy way. It cannot be
created or destroyed.
Right. So that's the easy way to do it. And I'll tell you how I discovered this, because when I first started learning about energy medicine, I would get attunements from other healers. And, I'll never forget the first time I went to a class. I prayed the Lord's Prayer the whole time because I was scared. I felt like it was not right somehow. Anyway, one day, I happened to be reading The Keys of Enoch, which very few people have, is my understanding, actually have read it.
I haven't read it, but I am familiar with it.
It's real thick.
I'd like to do a show about the Keys of Enoch.
Oh, it's incredible. It's written in fourth dimensional speak, which is why people can't read it for the most part. Anyway, in there I read that when the energy is combined with the Hebrew language, and when they said that, they actually meant, remember, Jesus was Jewish.
Yes.
But what did that convert into? Christianity, right?
Yes.
So combine the energy with the prayer. That's when the miracle happens.
The energy with the prayer.
That's what happens. When you say a prayer, God will send that energy. But you have to ask for what it is, because we have free will, remember?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely have to ask for something that you want. You can't just expect it.
Right, right. So miracles are greatly created, which is why I wrote that book, and I brought the poster, so that everyone could be prepared for 2012 and the ascension process. And this will lead the way, so you can, you know.
All right, well, show us the book now. The poster is here, but you have the book.
The book is Yativeh, the Manual, How to Perform Miraculous Healing Through Energy Medicine. And it'll take you step by step what to do to repair your physical, your spiritual, your mental, and your emotional bodies.
Wow.
Yes.
So, and now you were saying earlier before the show that would be the book to read before the other two that you have in front of you, which are about 2012 and the shift.
Well, the key thing is that the shift is happening whether we have made a conscious decision or not. It's happening because it's actually happening to Mother Earth. And we are nothing more than fleas on Mother Earth's back, because she is ascending, whether or not we agree. So the key is to get yourself physically ready so that you can survive it, because many people were having heart attacks during the quickening processes and so forth like that, and other diseases are becoming rampant. Some people have decided to go home or to move on, and it may not be their path, but for those who have decided to stay here and be teachers and help mankind who will be awakening, we need to prepare ourselves.
So we are, I guess, among those who are staying on to teach and all that.
Of course, that's why we're here on TV.
Yes,
that's why
exactly.
you have the show. That's why I write the books and why I teach energy medicine and
By the way,
lecture.
this show marks 13 years of me doing spiritual exploration,
Wow.
hosting and producing. 13 years.
And you know that's the magical number, right?
Yes, you were saying, yes.
Well, think about it. Jesus had 12 apostles. What was Jesus? He was the 13th.
Right.
Now, that's why the number 13th, they say, is unlucky in a way, too, because, you know, they wanted to hide how magical that number is. Not the good guys. The bad guys wanted to hide it.
Well, this is the 13th, kind of, we might as well say, anniversary
Well,
of my show.
congratulations.
Thank you.
How wonderful.
Yeah, it was August of 1999 that I did my first show.
Wow. That's a big feat.
Yeah, it is. It's I don't know where the years went, actually. They just flew by.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I hope that when I start my TV show that I'll run as long as you.
I hope so. Absolutely, because you have a lot to offer.
Well, thank you, dear.
Anyway, though, so now, what exactly is shifting? The Earth is shifting, we are shifting, in what way?
Well, basically, it's all frequency and vibration. So we are shifting. You see, when you're evil, your consciousness is here, your vibration is here, your frequency is here.
Okay.
When you are not evil, your frequency and vibration is here. Okay, just to give you an example. So the goal is to bring up the energies of those who are not as high, so we can all be on the same level because we're all one. And it's also part of the integration of the dark and the light, the yin, the yang. You know, that black and white symbol that is the balance.
Right.
That's the balance of the male and the female. It's the balance of thought versus compassion. It's the balance of male-female. You know, so in the Gospel of Thomas, it does say that when the male is like the female and the female is like the male, you will reach the gates of heaven. So when the integration occurs and we're balanced, that's literally when we can co-create our own heaven.
So how, excuse me, how do we get the people that are down here on the evil level up here with the people that are on the good level?
Well, God is already doing that by these sun flares and the pulses that are coming in. That's raising the vibration of the earth. So they have got to make the decision. They have got to decide, gee, do I want to transform or am I going to stay where I am? Because what I'm noticing now suddenly, I mean, I know the path was starting to split a year or two ago, like this. Of those who have decided to ascend and those who decided not to, because on the other side, when our souls go meet at night, trust me, when we came in, before we incarnated, we decided if we were going to stay and ascend or if we were going to be a recycler.
So in other words, like people who leave chose to.
Right, right. And a lot of times they take world karma with them, a lot of world karma. Whenever you see these group situations that seem to be so terrible, and they are terrible, but those people have opted to go that way, and they've opted to take a big chunk of world karma with them.
Meaning bad karma?
Yeah, because we have a lot of the earth, I mean the world karma, we have a lot of bad karma with all the wars and everything else, all the evil we've perpetrated.
Yes.
Yeah, so, but I've noticed the gap has been widening. Have you suddenly, like people, have you noticed this, that suddenly people that you were friendly with, but now suddenly you start to see, oh my God, I don't like what that person's doing, or who that person really is.
I noticed that on several occasions where somebody that I was friendly with, I'm no longer seeing them in the same light.
Yeah, me too.
And why is that?
It's because they have not chosen to transform or integrate. They have decided to be a recycler pretty much. And, or they just don't want to change their ways, because when you raise your vibration, one of the first things that you can do is, see, you can do it many different ways to climb that same mountain. You know, you can just read, and as you learn, your consciousness rises, and thus your vibration rises. Mm-hmm. You can go in the back door, which is what I do with the energy medicine, where you can go in and you can transform that darkness into light, because what is darkness but absence of light? Mm-hmm. So it's like shining a light in that dark room. And as you raise the vibration through the energy medicine, their consciousness changes with it. So that's another way you can do it. But there are people that do yoga, that do things like that, people who meditate, people who are just wonderful people who came in to serve. Mm-hmm. All those people all have high vibrations.
Like ourselves, I know.
Yeah, you
yes.
know, good souls.
I could feel it. I could feel it. Because I'm always doing things that are beneficial to others, and I know it.
Yeah, I came across the realization one day that I was really here to serve.
Exactly.
You know?
As a matter of fact, somebody did my astrological chart and told me that. You are here to serve. You are a light worker, and you are here to do work and serve and make things better. That's my job. So
the servant is really the master, and the master is really the servant, right?
I guess. So anyway, though, tell us about your other books here now.
Oh, okay. This book here, 2012, Creating Your Own Shift. This was written in tandem with 35 other spiritual leaders around the globe. And my chapter is chapter 3.
Oh, so you have a chapter in this book, mm-hmm. and 34 other people have a chapter.
Yeah, and you know what's neat about it is because it's around the world. So people in China are reading this book. People in New Zealand are reading this book. People in England are reading this book because they have authors that live there that promote the book. So it's getting wide exposure. And this book, it's really great because it talks about what to expect for 2012 and what's coming and so forth. So, and from many different perspectives, because everybody's given like a piece of the pie. Mm-hmm. But this is the sequel. This one just came out in June.
And you wrote this one yourself?
Nope, this is with the same group of people.
Oh, really?
The same group of people, well, a few people dropped on and a few people dropped off. Like, for instance, Barbara Marx Hubbard is in this, and she's very, very well known. Mm-hmm. She speaks before the United Nations and so forth. And I'm honored to be part of such a group, truly.
I'm sure.
Oh, yes. And anyway, this is called The Sacred Shift, Co-Creating Your Future. And this is chock full of ideas. It's the sequel to the other book of what to do, what we can consciously do to co-create a magnificent future.
So tell me now, all of these books you can get on Amazon.com.
Right.
And is there any section you would go to on Amazon to find them that they would just
No, just the books, just the book section, you know, and so just look for it because my name will be in here, but the publisher's name is on here. We took a vote. We decided that we'd have the authors who were the most famous be on the front cover.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, you'll have to look for the book, and you'll see 36 different authors on there. But they're both wonderful books, and of course, I like my book too.
And that's the one that you wrote yourself?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a guide.
Yeah, that will lead the way to preparing yourself on a physical, spiritual, mental, emotional basis on how to prepare your body for the shift, because it's not going to be suddenly everybody goes through this doorway and ascends. The people who are ready now are going to open and hold the door open for the rest of mankind to come through, whoever chooses.
Now, where are we ascending to?
Just a higher dimension. So basically the earth will be healed. We will heal it. We'll get our space brothers and sisters will come in with higher technologies, which are already coming to the forefront now that I see. And we will be in a place where it's for the greater good for everybody. Everybody will work together in tandem to create a better future for everybody. And it won't be so much about making money, it's about what can I do to help. What need can I feel? What am I drawn to do to help? Mm-hmm. You know, like in our case, yours is to do the TV show, mine is to write books and to teach, and I'll probably have my own TV show one of these days too.
I hope so.
Yeah. And so, but everybody will have a different role. Maybe somebody will be a scientist creating carburetors that run on water. Maybe somebody will bring back Nikola Tesla's free patents on free energy, so we don't have all this smog and pollution. You see, this type of thing.
So in other words, what you're expecting with this shift is all kinds of improvement in our lives.
Yes.
Making our lives a little easier.
Easier and more carefree. I mean, let's go back to, for instance, in our ancestors, let's go back to Jesus' time, for instance.
Which was one of the hardest times ever.
And it was hard, especially for what he went through. But what I mean is, they weren't just slaving away 60 to 80 hours a week just to pay their mortgage and put food on the table. They had time for their families and their friends and for their spiritual improvement, because, you know, we come here to learn and to evolve our soul. And how many people have the time to spend on
doing that?
Working on your spirituality, working on improving your soul.
So people are so involved in what in their own lives and their own egos and their things that they have to do and their physical belongings and all that kind of stuff.
It's like the rat race, the gerbil there on that little wheel. You can't get ahead on a soul level because you're too busy trying to keep up with that wheel. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. We find other things that take our time, and we really can't work on ourselves and our surroundings and making life better for everybody around us. And then we turn around and we look at other people that are trying to make our lives even not so good, and you wonder why. And you say, you know, these people that I saw in one way and are now doing things that are just the opposite of how I've known them for all this time, and you just wonder, where'd that come from? You know, why have they changed so?
And how would it be if we didn't have to pay for, say, electricity or water, or have mortgages, or, you know, the other races, God's many branches? You know, we do have many space brothers and sisters out there, and they don't use money.
What do they do?
It's an energy exchange. Everybody does what they're guided to do to help one another.
Kind of like barter?
Yeah.
Well, they say that that's where we're heading. I don't see it happening around the corner, but...
I've been told about 50 years. We will still use money for about 50 years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Some people think it won't be around that long, but in one form or another, I think it will.
Yeah, I think it has to, and really, it's just still too important to everybody.
And, you know, you just can't go from it overnight. It's too much of a culture shock.
Oh, sure.
I think it's one of those things that we'll grow into as the human race.
Yeah.
And when we see other examples, I mean, when we have full disclosure from our space brother and sisters, and we realize that there's other planets and God's many mansions we can fly to and see how they live without money. How cool would that be?
Well, I mean, when we go into spirit, we don't need money for anything. We could just fly anywhere we want, do what we want, see who we want.
In fact, you know, I don't know, I was told just today, I was asking, when will I be able to see my mother? And they said a month.
Oh, no.
And I said, and when will I be able to see Jesus? And they said 2 months. And I'm like, oh, way cool, you know, way cool.
Well, what did you mean by see them?
See them with my 2 eyes. See the veil is thinning so much, and everybody's at a different level. But we just went through an enormous shift. Starting on the 8th, we went through what's called the Lion's Gate. And that is it's a portal that would open. And each year, the Egyptians honored this because that's when the river would flood the Nile. But it's actually a portal that opened, and then that portal, we literally went through that portal. And I don't know how many people felt this, but I'll tell you what, I sure did. I was knocked on my rear end for a couple of days.
Really?
I was just so tired. Oh